In this video, we will learn about how to add and configure a subflow element in flow. So we will create an auto launch flow. We will expose input variables to receive data from a caller, and also we will create a record triggered flow, which acts as a main flow, which in turn makes a caller invoke a auto launch flow. We will also use public group in this video, and we will also try to use try to dynamically add a public group members. We will try to find whether the record that triggers the flow is a new or an existing record with the help of isNew function. So we'll just start with the business use case and then see how we can use all these functionalities in the flow. So the business use case is very simple. So chief sales officer in Unicorn Limited, he would like to automatically add users to a public group. The name of the public group is Customer Payment Receivables Group, and this has to happen only when at the time of creating a user, especially if the user profile is Customer Payment Receivable Team. So that is the condition. So again, as a Salesforce admin, you are going to do it without writing a single line of code. We'll talk about the design steps and expected output, then we'll just try to create the flow from scratch. So this is the design. So as I said earlier, we will be creating a record trigger flow which acts as an entry point. So this will have two parts, new and existing, and when there is a new user created with the profile customer payment receivables team, right, then we will just call an auto launch flow. So this is going to be done using subflow element. So the core logic how to add the user dynamically to the public group is will be written inside this auto launch flow. So this is what we will be doing, and so this one, the main flow acts as an entry point. This will have conditions to figure out whether the record is a new or an existing record. If it is a new, it will simply make a call to that to the auto launch flow. It will pass the necessary inputs, and then we have to find whether the user being added is having the profile name payment receivable team, right? That would be the first thing that we will do. We will not hard code the profile name. We will use custom labels to refer the profile name. And if the user is having the profile customer payment receivable, then we will try to put that user into the group. So that is what we will do it. So once the check is done, we will try to add the user dynamically to the public group. So the objects that we will be using in this flow is going to be user, and we will use yeah. So we will use group member, and this is these are the variables that are being exposed in the auto launch flow. So we will just try to do everything, and then let's see how it works. So let's go back to the org. So to get started with this flow, what I've done is I've just created a profile with the name Customer Payment Receivable Team, as you can see this here. And also we do need public group, right? That's why we have to automatically add the user. So there is a public group with the name Customer Payments Receivable Group added. Yeah, so this is the group name, the unique API name. And I'm not going to hard code the public group. I'm not going to hard code this profile name. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the custom label just to do away with hard coding. So I've created two custom labels. One is for keeping the group name, which is Customer Payment Receivable Group, and the other one is to just keep the profile name. So I do have two custom labels which I will use in the flow. So this is the pre-setup, and let's go to the flow and let's start with a new flow. All right, first let's try to create the record triggered flow. As I said, this is going to be an entry point, right? So I want this flow to run on user object. I'll be choosing the third one. Of course, I can create a record I can go with this option because the requirement says whenever a user is created, right, I want to add the user based on his profile. I want to add this user to the public group, right? But as I said earlier, we're gonna follow a best practice wherein there will be one flow which acts as a entry point, kind of a controller or a manager flow that Based on the condition, it will just call the appropriate flows, which will carry the actual logic. So that is the reason I'm going to choose this option. I want this flow to run in both the cases, create and update. But inside the flow, I'm gonna choose two different paths, new versus existing. We'll just see how we can do that. A record is created or updated, and no entry conditions for now. I'll just go with this one, actions and related records. I'll just say done. Perfect. So now I need to figure out whether the record that triggers this flow, right? It's a new or an existing one, which is very simple to do it. So what we can do is we can just create a new resource, a formula, and we can just say give a name is new user record. Yeah. And we'll just say it's going to be a boolean. And what I can use is I can use the standard function is new. So this will tell me whether the record that triggers the flow is a new or an existing one. Let me check the syntax and let's say done. So I'm going to use this as a variable to decide whether it is a new or an existing record. I'll just click on plus, add an element, decision element, and I'll just say new versus existing. So that way I'll get two branches, right? So new outcome, I'll say new, and I'm gonna refer this formula. I'll just say if this is equal to true, then it's a new record. If it is not, then the default one will be existing. So I'm gonna get two paths now, path one and path two for new and existing. And this is where I'm gonna make a call to that auto launch flow, or I'm gonna use the subflow element. So before I do that, I'll create the other one as well, other flow as well. Let me first save this one. I'll say this is a record triggered flow. I'll give a name user controller flow. Show advanced. Of course, I do have this flow date and time. Perfect. Done. Save. Let it save. Perfect. So let's go back. Let's try to create that auto launch flow. I'll create a new flow, and this time I'm going to choose auto launched flow. Yeah, because I'm going to write the entire logic inside this, and then I'm going to call this flow from that main flow. So let me create one. Yeah, auto launch flow. So whenever you create an auto launch flow, certainly, right, this is going to be invoked by the other flow. So the main flow will send necessary inputs to the flow, to further build the logic. So the very first thing, right, I'm gonna need the user record that has triggered that main flow, isn't it? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a new resource. I'll say it's a variable, and I'll follow, the naming convention. Variable v underscore it's an input, and I'll just say it's a user record. Yeah. So I'm going to choose data type as record because I need all the fields data passed on from the main flow to the record triggered flow. So that's the reason I'm going to choose data type as record. So I'll just create I'll just map the object user. That is cool. And I'll say it is available for input. So done. So this is done, and perfect. For now, this should be fine. Let's see if needed, we can create more variables. Okay. So this is cool. The very first thing is I wanted to first check on the profile, isn't it? The profile name of the user. So that if the profile name is yeah, if the profile name is Customer Payments Receivable Team, then it makes sense to proceed further, isn't it? So let's do that first. So how do we know? How do we know whether the user is having this profile? Very simple. Um, let's do this. Yeah, we have the decision. So we can just say that check for profile name. Yeah. So This will say customer payment receivables user. Yeah. So here what I can do is the input variable that carries all the information about the user record, right? So I'll choose this one, and I do have the field profile, isn't it? So if the name of the profile contains, yeah, contains the contains the name, right? Customer payments receivable type. Instead of hard coding this, as I said earlier, I'm going to use the custom labels. So I can just choose the global variable label, and as you can see we have this profile name, right? So that's it. So this will this path will lead me to to do the next thing, which is adding the user to the public group, right? So the default outcome is I'll just say other profile user. I don't have to do anything in this case, right? So I'll just say done. So now as you can see, I just checked on the profile name, check for the profile name. If it is customer payment receivables teams, then I'll just go and then proceed. If it is other profile user, I don't have to do anything. So I'll just leave it as is. Yeah. Now, so what is the next step? The next step is you have to add the user, right, to the public group, correct? So if you go back here, I'll go to developer console for time being, just to show how the data is stored or which objects are holding this data. So I have a group. So whenever a new group is created, this is where the group name and ID, right? So the group that we just got created is customer payment receivables group, right? It got an ID. So what I should do is I need to add the user to group member. So to this object, so this will have, I need to pass the group ID, which is essentially this, right? Which is essentially this, and then I need to pass the user ID as well. So once I just send these two data points, right? Then I can add this. I can add this user to that group, isn't it? So the first thing is I need to have the group ID, correct? But what I have, in my hand is the name of the group, which is stored in the custom label. So I'm going to use this name and then retrieve this ID. Okay, later I can just add this, I can add this ID to the group member. So that's what that would be the next ideal step. I'll go here and we go to the flow. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to use get records. I'll just say get public group ID. Yeah. So from the object group, and we'll just say the name of the group, yeah, which is the developer name, as you can see. Here it is, right? The developer name contains, again, from the label, I can just pick the group name. That's it. So if this is there, then I want the first record to get stored automatically, right, in all the fields. I'll just say done. So Salesforce, has just created a variable for me to hold that public group, ID and other details. So the next thing is, let's try to check whether this is really, yeah. So this is a best practice again. So check for, I'll just say, is group exists. So group exists. Outcome as this is not exists. So basically we're just trying to see whether a group is present, or a group record is there on the database. So that's a best practice. Having a decision check before you proceed further will certainly help. So that's what I'm just doing it. So the previous step, we are trying to retrieve the group from the database, isn't it? I'm just checking whether it is null or not. If it is not null, certainly the group is no the group record is available, right? Public group record is available. So I'll just say done. Two branches group exists not exist. If the group exists, then I can simply add user to the group, which is fairly simple. I can use create records because I'm going to insert a new data right into the system. I'll just say add user to public group. So yeah, I'm going to add just one record, use all the values. No, I'll take the control and then decide what information needs to be added. So I'll just say this is the yeah, this is the name of the object to which we wanted to insert data. And the first thing is the group ID, which I can just pick from the previous step, as in we have this get public group ID, right? So choose this one and get the ID from there. Group ID, perfect. And now let's also add the user or group ID. So this has to be taken from the input variable, right? So this will carry all the information about the user. From here, I'll just simply take the ID of the user. Perfect. So now this is cool, right? So now this is done. So I'll just say done. So now as you can see, the this flow is almost done. Almost done. Let's just save this and we'll just give a name, auto launched flow, add user to public group. All right, so I'll just save this one. So okay, let's just activate this. So now this is done, right? I'm gonna call this flow from the main flow. Let's go back there and let's find the record trigger flow. As you can see, this is right here. Click. All right. So yeah. So we wanted to run this when a new record is created, right? New user is created. So let's click on plus, and this is where I'm going to use the subflow element. So this will help me to invoke, another flow, isn't it? Which we just created. Let's click on subflow, and let's look for the flows. Yeah, as you can see, this is the one that we just created. Add user to public group. Just create it. I'll just say add user to customer payment receivables group. So that is the name of this flow. Yeah, and I'm just going to send information right to the sort of subflow. So I'll just say include, and I want to pass the entire record that triggered the flow, the user record that triggered this flow. Yeah, so that's it. No dot. Perfect. So this will send all the information about the user record, right, that has launched the flow. That's it. This is cool. Let me just save this. Good. So the version is still inactive. Let me just activate this and then see how it works. Good. So let's go back to users. And let's try to create a new user. First name is John. Last name is Vic. Let's say jw at unicorn.com. And let's use a profile, Customer Payment Receivables Team. Say save. Good. The record has just been created. Let's go back to the group and yeah, let's cross check. As you can just see, right, we just added the user John Wick. So he has just been added to the Customer Payments Receivable Group. So that's it. So this is how you can use a subflow to invoke another flow within within the flow. So yep, so pretty much we completed this one, right, without writing a single line of code. Thank you.